Today we're starting a brand new fanfiction. What if Female Deku had the power to erase Quirks? In a world where everyone depends on their powers, one girl is born with the ability to take them away. Let's not waste time and get started. It was raining the day Izumi Midoriya learned something was wrong with her. Not wrong in the normal sense. Something terrifying. She was 5 years old. Most kids discovered their quirks around that age, and the playground at Alder Elementary was always filled with small displays of powers, sparks flying from fingers, little bursts of wind, floating toys. Izumi sat quietly on the swings, watching. Like she always did. A boy nearby showed off his fire quirk proudly. "Look, I can make flames now." The other kids gathered around him excitedly. "Whoa, do it again." Izumi smiled softly. She loved watching quirks, loved imagining what kind of hero she might become someday. But then the boy looked at her. "Hey Midoriya, come see this." Izumi walked closer. The moment she stepped beside him, the flame in his hand vanished. Just like that. Gone. The boy blinked. Huh. He tried again. Nothing. The flame wouldn't come back. Confusion spread across the playground. Did it stop working? Try again. But no matter how hard he tried, his quirk refused to activate. A teacher eventually came to investigate. And the moment Izumi stepped away, the boy's fire returned. Everyone froze, including the teacher. Slowly, the realization formed, and every eye turned toward Izumi. The hospital tests confirmed it. Dr. Tsubasa adjusted his glasses nervously while reading the results. In all my years studying quirks, I've never seen anything like this. Inko Midoriya clutched her daughter's hand. "What does it mean?" The doctor exhaled slowly. "Izumi's quirk doesn't create power. It removes it." The room went silent. Dr. Tsubasa continued. "Any quirk user within a certain range of her temporarily loses their ability." Inko's face went pale. "You mean she erases them?" The doctor nodded. "Yes." News of the strange quirk spread quickly. Kids at school began avoiding Izumi. Some were scared. Others were angry. "Stay away from her. You'll lose your quirk. She's dangerous." Izumi tried to smile through it. But every time someone stepped back from her, it hurt. A lot. She stopped playing with other kids. Stopped joining activities. Because the moment she walked into a room, powers disappeared. Years passed. Izumi learned how her quirk worked. It didn't require touch. It didn't require effort. It simply existed. A silent field around her that erased every ability nearby. Even strong quirks vanished instantly. Explosion. Tough cold half hot. Engine. Everything. Nothing could survive inside her range. Which made her the most dangerous person in any battle. But also the most lonely. When she finally applied to UA High School, many teachers hesitated. Principal Nezu studied her file carefully. A quirk that nullifies every other ability. He smiled slightly. Fascinating, because in a world where everyone depended on powers, someone who could erase them entirely was incredibly valuable. Or incredibly dangerous. The entrance exam day arrived. Hundreds of students gathered outside UA. Excitement filled the air. Everyone eager to show off their quirks. Except one person. Izumi stood quietly near the back. Green hair blowing gently in the wind. Watching, because the moment she stepped forward, the entire crowd began to panic. "My quirk. Wait, it's not working. What's happening?" Students tried activating their powers. Nothing responded. The entire test field fell silent. And every confused face slowly turned toward the girl walking calmly through the gates. Izumi Midoriya. The girl who could erase quirks. Aizawa stood on the observation platform above the exam field. His tired eyes narrowed. "So that's the girl." Beside him, Present Mike laughed nervously. "Whoa, she's shutting everyone down." Indeed she was. The moment Izumi entered the arena, Every single quirk stopped working. Even the robots suddenly felt easier to deal with. Because the other students couldn't rely on powers anymore. They had to fight using skill, strength, strategy. Izumi walked forward calmly. A robot lunged toward her. She dodged, jumped, then smashed the machine's core with a metal pipe she picked up from the ground. Boom! The robot collapsed. Another one approached. She destroyed that one too. Without a single flashy move. Without explosions. Without fire. Just pure determination. Aizawa watched carefully. Interesting, because her quirk didn't just erase powers. It forced everyone around her to fight like normal humans. But what Izumi didn't know was that someone else was watching too. Far away, hidden behind computer screens. A masked man leaned back in his chair, eyes fixed on the footage. The girl who erases quirks. His voice sounded intrigued. Imagine what the world would look like if every hero lost their power. The room behind him filled with shadows. Villains, scientists, followers, all staring at the screen showing Izumi Midoriya. The one person capable of destroying the entire hero system. And suddenly, everyone wanted her. Heroes, villains, governments, because the girl who erased quirks might soon decide the fate of the entire world. The exam field had gone strangely quiet. Hundreds of students stood frozen, staring at their hands in confusion. No explosions, no ice, no gravity fields, no engines. Nothing worked, because Izumi Midoriya had just stepped onto the battlefield. A few students whispered nervously, "My quirk, it's gone. Why can't I activate it? Is something wrong with the system?" Izumi heard them, but she kept walking forward. Her shoes splashed through small puddles from the morning rain as she looked around the massive testing arena. Robots roared to life across the field. Without quirks, most students were panicking. But Izumi didn't panic. She couldn't rely on powers. She never could. A robot charged toward her, its red sensor glowing. Izumi grabbed a piece of broken metal pipe lying nearby. The robot lunged. She slid under its arm, spun around, and slammed the pipe directly into its control panel. Crack! The robot collapsed. Above the arena, Present Mike nearly choked. "Whoa, did you see that?" Aizawa kept his tired eyes fixed on the screen. "She's used to fighting without a quirk." Present Mike laughed. "Well, yeah, she kinda deletes everyone else's." But Aizawa wasn't smiling, because something about Izumi's movements caught his attention. She was calm. Too calm. Most students in their first combat exam panicked. But Izumi moved like someone who had spent years preparing for moments like this. Meanwhile, across the field, Katsuki Bakugo slammed his fist against a robot in frustration. Damn it. His explosions wouldn't activate. He glared around. What idiot broke the system? Then he noticed something. Every student near him was powerless. Except a green-haired girl calmly destroying robots with a metal pipe. Bakugo narrowed his eyes. Midoriya. Even without explosions, he started marching toward her. Another robot lunged at Izumi. She jumped sideways, grabbing the robot's arm and flipping herself over its shoulder before kicking its head sensor. The machine collapsed instantly. Students nearby stared in shock. Did she just beat that thing with no quirk? That's insane. But something stranger happened. As Izumi moved through the arena, students who followed her suddenly noticed their quirks returning. My power works again. But the moment they stepped close to her, their quirks vanished again. The realization spread quickly. She's the reason. Her quirk is canceling ours. Some students backed away nervously. Others looked angry. Hey, stay away. You're ruining the exam. Izumi froze for a second. That familiar feeling returned. The same one from childhood. People stepping away. Avoiding her. Blaming her. Her fingers tightened around the pipe. Right, she whispered quietly. I'll just fight alone then. Suddenly the ground shook violently. A massive shadow fell over the battlefield. Students gasped. The zero-pointer. The giant robot burst through a wall, towering above the arena like a walking skyscraper. Students began running immediately. No way we can beat that. Run! Without Quirks, the giant machine looked impossible to stop. Izumi looked up at it quietly. Her quirk erased abilities. But robots didn't have quirks, which meant she couldn't neutralize it. The massive machine raised its foot. Then suddenly, a scream cut through the air. A girl had tripped while running. The robot's foot began descending toward her. Izumi's body moved before she even thought. She sprinted, faster than she ever had before. Rainwater splashed behind her feet. The ground trembled as the giant machine lowered its leg. Izumi grabbed the girl and rolled away just in time. Boom! The impact shattered the pavement. The girl looked up at her in shock. "Why did you come back?" Izumi smiled gently. "Because heroes save people. Even if those people were scared of her. Even if they hated her quirk. Saving people was still the right thing." Above the arena, Aizawa leaned forward slightly. That's the moment. Present Mike blinked. Huh. Aizawa nodded toward the screen. She didn't hesitate, even though everyone feared her ability. Even though she knew the giant robot couldn't be erased. She still ran forward. That instinct was what made a true hero. Back on the field, the giant robot turned toward Izumi again. Its massive arm raised. Izumi stood there, breathing heavily. Okay. She looked around the battlefield. Broken metal, fallen debris, loose cables. Her mind began racing. If she couldn't erase the robot, then she would have to destroy it. And Izumi Midoriya had spent her entire life learning how to fight in a world without powers. She picked up a thick metal rod from the ground. Her green eyes sharpened. Let's do this. The giant robot swung its arm downward. But Izumi had already started running. Straight toward it, and high above the arena. Aizawa muttered quietly. She might be more dangerous than we thought. Izumi sprinted. The ground trembled as the zero-pointer's massive arm crashed down behind her, sending chunks of concrete flying through the air. Students scattered across the battlefield, some still frozen in fear. But Izumi didn't slow down. She studied the robot carefully while running. Every machine had a weakness. And if brute strength wouldn't work, then strategy would. She darted toward a collapsed robot nearby and grabbed a thick steel rod from its destroyed arm joint. Sparks flickered around the broken machinery. The zero-pointer turned its giant head toward her. Target locked. Its massive arm swung again. Izumi slid under the attack, dust exploding behind her as the metal rod scraped against the ground. Her heart pounded. Too slow, I need height. She spotted a pile of debris stacked against a broken building wall. Perfect. Izumi sprinted up the rubble like a staircase, just as the robot's arm smashed into the ground behind her again. The entire arena shook. Students watching from below gasped. What is she doing? She's going toward it. From the observation deck, Present Mike leaned forward. That girl is crazy. But Aizawa's eyes narrowed slightly. No, she's planning something. Izumi reached the top of the rubble pile. The giant robot towered above her. For a moment, the world felt strangely quiet. Wind blew through her hair. Rain droplets slid down her face. Then she jumped, straight toward the robot's head. Students screamed below. She's insane. Izumi raised the steel rod high above her head. Come on. The rod slammed into the robot's glowing sensor. Crack. The impact shattered the lens. The zero-pointer staggered. But it didn't fall. Its arm swung again violently, knocking Izumi out of the air. She hit the ground hard, sliding across the pavement. Pain shot through her shoulder. She tried to stand. The robot turned toward her again. Its massive foot lifted. This time, there was no time to escape. Then something strange happened. A faint wave of energy spread out from Izumi. The giant robot suddenly froze. Its glowing eye flickered. Present Mike blinked. Wait, what? Aizawa leaned forward. That shouldn't happen. Because robots didn't have quirks. Izumi's ability shouldn't affect machines. But the zero-pointer systems were failing. Its joints locked. Its movement slowed. Then the massive robot collapsed to its knees with a thunderous crash. The entire arena went silent. Students stared in disbelief. What just happened? Izumi looked just as confused. I didn't touch it. Above the arena, Nezu slowly adjusted his tie. Fascinating. Aizawa crossed his arms. Her quirk is evolving. Because Izumi's ability wasn't just erasing quirks anymore. It was erasing energy. Quirk energy, power sources, anything fueled by unnatural energy. Even the robot's internal reactor. Which meant something terrifying. If Izumi's quirk continued evolving, she might one day erase every quirk in existence. The exam finally ended. Students were escorted out of the battlefield. But whispers followed Izumi everywhere. That girl stopped the zero-pointer. She doesn't even need a quirk to fight. No, she has the most dangerous one. Bakugo watched her from across the courtyard. His expression unreadable. For the first time in his life, he wasn't angry. He was curious, but far away from UA. Inside a dark underground facility, a screen replayed footage from the exam. The moment the zero-pointer collapsed, the mysterious wave spreading from Izumi. A tall figure stepped out of the shadows. His voice was calm. So it's true. If her quirk evolves further, she could erase the entire quirk society. Another villain asked quietly, "What should we do?" The figure smiled faintly. "We capture her, because if someone could erase quirks, then controlling her meant controlling the future." And the girl named Izumi Midoriya had just become the most valuable weapon in the world. Without even realizing it, the ride back from the exam was quiet. Too quiet. Most students were exhausted, some still whispering about the zero-pointer incident. Others were replaying the moment in their heads over and over. The girl who erased quirks, and somehow shut down the giant robot. Izumi sat by the bus window, watching the rain slide down the glass. Her shoulders still hurt from the fall. But that wasn't what bothered her. Why did the robot stop? She murmured to herself. Her quirk wasn't supposed to affect machines. It erased quirks, not power systems. At least, that's what she had always believed. Across the bus, Ochako Uraka leaned forward slightly. "Hey, Midoriya." Izumi looked up. "Oh, hi." Ochako smiled warmly. "That was amazing back there." Izumi blinked. "Amazing. You saved me." Ochako rubbed the back of her neck shyly. "Honestly, I thought I was done for." Izumi looked down. Anyone would have done the same. Ochako laughed softly. "Not really." Then she leaned closer and whispered, "You know, when you stood near me earlier, my quirk disappeared." Izumi stiffened slightly. Ochako continued. But it didn't feel scary. It felt calm. Izumi looked at her, confused. "Calm?" Ochako nodded. Like everything noisy suddenly stopped. Before Izumi could respond, the bus came to a stop. UA's towering gates stood ahead. The exam was over. But something bigger had already started. Hours later, the results meeting began inside UA. Principal Nezu stood at the front of the room while several teachers reviewed the recorded footage. President Mike leaned back in his chair. "That girl's insane." Aizawa didn't reply immediately. He replayed the moment the zero-pointer froze. Frame by frame. Her quirk pulse happened here. Nezu nodded. "Yes, but the robot doesn't run on quirks." Aizawa crossed his arms. "Exactly." Nezu smiled slightly. Which means her ability isn't just erasing quirks. It's suppressing energy sources linked to quirks. The room went quiet, because that possibility was far more dangerous. If Izumi's quirk evolved enough, she could potentially disable. Hero abilities, support gear, advanced Quirk technology, entire power systems designed around Quirk energy. In other words, she could shut down the entire hero society infrastructure. President Mike scratched his head. So basically she's a walking off switch for superpowers. Aizawa sighed. Yeah. Meanwhile, far underground, the villains watching the footage had reached the same conclusion. The tall figure stepped closer to the screen, a shadow hiding most of his face. Her ability evolved during combat. One of the scientists nodded nervously. Yes, her suppression field expanded dramatically when she was under stress. The figure smiled. Excellent. Another villain asked. What's the plan? The man leaned forward slightly. Simple. We take her, before the heroes realize what she can truly become. Back at UA dorms that night, Izumi couldn't sleep. She stood outside on the balcony, looking at the night sky. The campus was quiet, but something inside her felt restless. Her quirk field pulsed faintly around her. Unstable, growing, she raised her hand slowly. What are you turning into? For years, she believed her quirk only erased abilities nearby. But today, it had done something new. Something bigger. Something she didn't understand yet. And somewhere deep inside, that possibility scared her. Because if her power kept evolving, it might not just erase quirks. It might erase everything connected to them. The entire world had been built around quirks. Heroes, villains, technology, society itself. And Izumi Midoriya might be the one person capable of turning it all off. Suddenly, her quirk flared violently. The lights on the balcony flickered. The campus security drones hovering in the distance suddenly dropped from the sky. Sparks flew. The machines shut down instantly. Izumi stared at the fallen drones in shock. That wasn't supposed to happen. But far away, someone else felt the same pulse. A powerful figure sitting in darkness opened his eyes slowly. Interesting, because that pulse had reached much farther than UA. And now, the most dangerous people in the world knew exactly where she was. Night at UA was supposed to be peaceful. For most students, it was. But not for Izumi Midoriya. The wind brushed softly across the balcony as she stared at the fallen security drones lying in the grass below. Their red sensors blinked weakly before shutting down completely. She hadn't touched them. She hadn't even tried to activate her quirk. Yet the moment her emotions spiked, everything around her stopped working. Lights, machines, even the small support robots that normally cleaned the campus halls had frozen. Izumi slowly clenched her hand. That wasn't supposed to happen. For years, she believed her quirk only erased quirks. But tonight it had erased something else. Energy, systems, anything connected to power. A cold feeling crawled up her spine. If this kept growing, what else could she shut down? Midoriya. The voice behind her made her jump. She turned around quickly. Aizawa stood in the doorway, hands in his pockets, his tired eyes watching her carefully. Sensei. He walked out onto the balcony and looked down at the broken drones. Your quirk did this. It wasn't a question. Izumi nodded slowly. I didn't mean to. Aizawa sighed. That's the problem. He leaned against the railing. Your quirk is evolving faster than we expected. Izumi looked down at her hands again. Is that bad? Aizawa was quiet for a moment. Power itself isn't dangerous. What people do with it is. He looked at her directly. But the kind of power you have scares people. Izumi forced a small smile. I'm used to that. But Aizawa noticed the way her fingers tightened. She wasn't as calm as she looked. Get some rest, he said. Tomorrow we start training. Izumi blinked. Training? If your quirk is going to keep evolving, you need to learn how to control it. He walked back toward the door. And before someone else tries to control you. Those words lingered in the air long after he left. Across the city, inside a dark underground lab, several monitors flickered to life. The moment Izumi's quirk pulse spread across UA earlier, dozens of hidden sensors had picked it up. A scientist stared at the data nervously. It's confirmed. Her suppression field expanded almost 300%. The tall figure standing behind him chuckled quietly. So it's true. On the monitor, Izumi's face appeared. Green hair, freckles, a normal girl. Yet the numbers beside her image told a different story. Potential threat level catastrophic. The scientist adjusted his glasses. If her power continues evolving at this rate, she could theoretically disable every quirk user within several kilometers. The man in the shadows smiled. No, you're thinking too small. He stepped closer to the screen. If we guide her evolution properly, she could erase quirks from the entire world. The room fell silent. Because that wasn't just power. That was control over the future of humanity. Back at UA the next morning, training field Gamma was unusually quiet. Class 1A stood in a loose circle while Aizawa watched them from the center. Bakugo cracked his knuckles impatiently. So what's the deal today? Aizawa pointed toward Izumi. We are testing Midoriya's suppression range. The class shifted slightly. Some curious, some nervous, because everyone knew what her quirk did. Aizawa continued. Your goal is simple. He looked directly at Izumi. Try to control how far your quirk spreads. Izumi nodded. I'll try. She stepped into the center of the field. Slowly she closed her eyes. Her breathing slowed. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a faint ripple spread across the ground. A few students gasped. My quirk just stopped. Another voice shouted. Mine too. Aizawa checked the monitoring device in his hand. 10 meters. Izumi focused harder. The ripple expanded. 15 meters. 20. 30. The grass around her rustled as the invisible field grew larger. Bakugo grinned. Heh, pretty crazy power, huh? But suddenly Izumi's eyes snapped open. Something felt wrong. The energy field didn't stop growing. It kept expanding. Past 40 meters. Past 50. Students began stepping back quickly. Midoriya, your range is increasing. Izumi's breathing quickened. I'm trying to stop it. But the quirk wouldn't listen. It was reacting to something. Something approaching. Aizawa suddenly looked toward the sky. Everyone move. A massive explosion rocked the far side of the training field. Dust and smoke filled the air. Students staggered back. And from the burning crater, several figures slowly walked forward. Villains. One of them laughed. Well, so this is the girl who erases quirks. Izumi's heart dropped. They hadn't come for chaos. They hadn't come to fight UA. They had come for her. And judging by the calm smiles on their faces, they already knew exactly how dangerous her power could become. The smoke from the explosion slowly drifted across the training field. Students of Class 1A stood frozen. The villains walked forward calmly, their boots crunching against the broken concrete like they had all the time in the world. There were 5 of them, all wearing black combat gear. No flashy costumes. No dramatic masks, which somehow made them even more unsettling. Because in a world full of quirks, these people clearly didn't rely on them. The one leading them was tall, with silver hair tied behind his head and a faint scar across his cheek. He looked directly at Izumi and smiled. Well, there she is. Izumi's heart tightened. They weren't here for a random attack. They were here for her. Bakugo stepped forward immediately. Hey, who the hell do you think you are? He cracked his knuckles. Even without his explosions, he looked ready to fight. But the silver-haired man barely glanced at him. You're not important. His eyes stayed on Izumi. We came for the girl. The air suddenly felt colder. Students shifted uneasily. Todoroki's eyes narrowed. Midoriya. Aizawa stepped forward slowly, placing himself between the villains and his students. You picked the wrong school to attack. The villain laughed softly. "No, Eraserhead. We picked the perfect one." The moment he said that name, several students looked confused. Because Aizawa no longer had his quirk active. But the villain knew exactly who he was. That meant only one thing. They had been watching. For a long time. The silver-haired man raised his hand slightly. The other villains spread out across the field instantly. Not randomly. Strategically. They weren't reckless. They were professionals. Aizawa muttered quietly. "Everyone stay behind me." But Izumi suddenly stepped forward. "No." The class turned toward her. Bakugo frowned. "What are you doing?" Izumi's green eyes stayed locked on the villains. "They came for me." Her voice was calm. "But I'm not running." The silver-haired man chuckled. "Good. That makes things easier." Without warning, he snapped his fingers. One of the villains rushed forward at impossible speed. Izumi barely had time to react before the attacker appeared right in front of her. A punch came flying toward her face. But Izumi moved first. She ducked. Her quirk flared instinctively. The moment the villain entered her suppression field, his body suddenly slowed. Not because of a quirk, but because the advanced gear strapped to his arms suddenly shut down. The motors stopped. The power circuits died. The man stumbled in shock. "What the?" Izumi grabbed his arm and flipped him over her shoulder. Crash. He slammed into the ground hard. The class stared. Bakugo blinked. Okay, that was kinda cool. But the silver-haired villain didn't look surprised. In fact, he looked impressed. Exactly like the report said. Izumi froze slightly. "Reports?" He tilted his head. "We've been studying you for years, Izumi Midoriya." Her stomach dropped. Years? That meant, even before UA. Even before the entrance exam. They had been watching her. Suddenly another villain lunged toward her. Then another. 3 attackers at once. Izumi's suppression field expanded instinctively. The ground beneath her feet rippled slightly as her quirk activated stronger than ever. Every device the villains carried suddenly sparked. Their enhanced suits died instantly. Weapons lost power. Communicators shut down. The attackers froze mid-step. Confused, powerless, Izumi stepped forward. Her voice steady. "You shouldn't rely so much on equipment." She knocked the first villain unconscious, dodged the second, and slammed the third into the ground. Within seconds, 3 more attackers were down. Students stared in shock. Because Izumi wasn't just defending herself. She was dominating the fight. But the silver-haired man still hadn't moved. He simply watched. Then he sighed. As expected, Izumi frowned. Expected? He raised his hand slowly. "You've misunderstood something." Suddenly the ground behind him split open. A large metal container rose from beneath the earth. Its surface covered in strange glowing patterns. Aizawa's eyes widened. "What is that?" The villain smiled faintly. "Our insurance." The container opened. Inside was a machine, a strange device humming with unnatural energy. The moment it activated, Izumi felt something she had never felt before. Pain. Her quirk field flickered violently. Students gasped. "What's happening to Midoriya?" Izumi dropped to one knee. Her suppression field destabilized. The villain stepped closer. "Your power erases quirks. But we built something that erases your erasure." He looked down at her calmly. "Because the world doesn't need someone who can destroy every quirk." He crouched slightly. "It needs someone who can control that power." The machine behind him pulsed again. Izumi's vision blurred. For the first time since discovering her ability, her quirk was being suppressed. And the villains had clearly prepared for exactly this moment. Izumi's vision blurred. The strange machine behind the silver-haired villain pulsed again, sending another wave of energy across the training field. This time the pain was worse. Her suppression field flickered violently like a candle struggling in the wind. Students rushed toward her. Midoriya. Ochako tried to grab her shoulder, but Aizawa stopped her. Don't. His eyes were locked on the machine. That device is interfering with her quirk. Bakugo clenched his fists. To them we destroy it. But before anyone could move, the silver-haired villain lifted a small remote in his hand. Careful. The machine hummed louder. Izumi gasped. Her quirk flickered again. You see, the villain said calmly, your power erases quirks. But ours rewrites the rules around you. He looked down at her with interest. For the first time in your life, Midoriya Izumi. You're powerless. The words hit harder than the pain. Powerless? For years that word had defined her childhood. She remembered sitting alone on the playground, watching other kids use their quirks, being told she was strange, dangerous, unwanted. Her hands trembled against the ground. No. The villain tilted his head. No. Izumi slowly stood up. The pain in her chest burned, but something inside her refused to stay down. I'm not powerless. The machine pulsed again. But this time, something strange happened. Instead of weakening her quirk completely, it triggered it. A sudden ripple spread across the training field. Students gasped. The machine behind the villain flickered. Its glowing lines dimmed for a split second. Aizawa's eyes widened. Wait, the silver-haired villain frowned. That shouldn't. Another pulse exploded outward from Izumi. This one stronger. Her green eyes glowed faintly. The invisible suppression field around her expanded again. The machine behind the villain sparked violently. Crack. The device shut down completely. Smoke rose from its surface. The villain stared at it in disbelief. Impossible. Izumi stood there breathing heavily. Her voice quiet but steady. You said your machine erases my erasure. She wiped a small line of blood from her lip. But my quirk doesn't just erase quirks anymore. Another ripple spread across the ground. The villain's equipment suddenly sparked. Their weapons died. Communication devices shut off. Even the remote in the silver-haired man's hand stopped working. Izumi's quirk had grown again. It wasn't just erasing quirks. It was erasing anything powered by quirk energy. And the machine they brought had accidentally forced it to evolve. Bakugo grinned. Heh, now that's more like it. The silver-haired villain slowly stepped back. For the first time since arriving, he looked cautious. Interesting. He glanced at the broken machine. Then back at Izumi. You just proved something very important. Izumi frowned. What? The villain smiled faintly. That your quirk grows stronger when threatened. He pressed something hidden inside his glove. Suddenly smoke bombs exploded across the field. Thick grey clouds swallowed the battlefield. Students coughed as the villains disappeared into the haze. Aizawa shouted, "Everyone stay alert." But when the smoke cleared, the villains were gone. Only the broken machine remained. Bakugo kicked a piece of it across the ground. Chill. They ran, but Izumi knew better. They hadn't come to win the fight. They had come to test her. And judging by the villain's satisfied smile before disappearing, they had gotten exactly the information they wanted. Far away, watching through a hidden camera drone still transmitting data, the silver-haired man chuckled. Well then, now we know. He looked at the monitor showing Izumi standing in the training field. The girl who erases quirks might one day erase the entire world. And next time, they wouldn't come with just 5 people. They would come prepared to capture the most dangerous ability ever born. Smoke still lingered across the training field. Students slowly regrouped, looking around nervously as the reality of what had just happened began to settle in. Villains had just attacked UA. Not to destroy anything, not to cause chaos, but specifically to test Izumi Midoriya. Aizawa stood silently beside the broken machine, examining the melted circuits. His expression had grown more serious than usual. They knew exactly what they were doing. Nezu soon arrived with several teachers, his small paws folded behind his back as he studied the damage. Quite troubling, Bakugo scoffed. Troubling, they ran away. But Nezu shook his head. No, young Bakugo. They succeeded. Everyone looked confused. Nezu pointed toward Izumi. They confirmed something. That Midoriya's quirk evolves under pressure. Izumi felt a small chill run down her spine, because the villain had said the same thing before disappearing. Later that evening, UA's security was doubled. Teachers stood guard around the dorm buildings, and the entire class sat quietly in the common room. No one was joking. No one was arguing. Everyone kept glancing toward Izumi. Not with fear, but with concern. Kirishima leaned forward. Hey Midoriya, are you okay? Izumi nodded slowly. I think so, but she wasn't completely sure. Her quirk still felt unstable, like a storm quietly building inside her. Ochako placed a cup of tea in front of her. You saved everyone today. Izumi smiled faintly. I just fought back. But Todoroki, sitting across the room, spoke quietly. They didn't come to defeat you. They came to study you. Izumi's fingers tightened slightly around the cup. Because deep down, she knew that was true. That night, long after everyone went to sleep, Izumi stood alone on the rooftop. The city lights stretched endlessly in the distance. She raised her hand slowly. A faint ripple of energy spread outward again. Streetlights below flickered briefly. Her quirk was still expanding, still evolving. What am I becoming? She whispered. For the first time since discovering her ability, she wasn't sure if the answer would be something good. Far across the city, inside a massive underground facility hidden beneath abandoned factories, the silver-haired villain stood in front of a large holographic screen. Data from the battle scrolled across it. Quirk suppression range, energy output, evolution patterns. A scientist beside him looked nervous. The readings are confirmed. Her quirk adapted after encountering our suppression device. The villain smiled. Exactly as predicted. Another man stepped forward from the shadows. Unlike the others, he carried an overwhelming presence. A calm, terrifying authority. Then the experiment was successful. The silver-haired man nodded respectfully. Yes, we confirmed her power can evolve beyond quirk erasure. The second man looked at the screen showing Izumi's face. A girl who can erase quirks, and eventually erase the very concept of power. He clasped his hands behind his back. That ability will reshape the world. The silver-haired villain asked quietly. What are your orders? The man's eyes narrowed slightly. Prepare phase 2. Because the next time they attacked, it wouldn't be a test. It would be a capture operation. Back at UA, Izumi suddenly felt something. A strange pulse. Far away, but unmistakable. Her quirk reacted instantly. The air around her rippled. Lights on the rooftop flickered again. Izumi looked toward the distant city skyline. Her instincts told her something terrifying. The villains who attacked today were only the beginning. And somewhere out there, someone far more dangerous was already preparing to come for her. The wind moved softly across the UA rooftop. Izumi stood there alone, staring at the city lights stretching endlessly into the distance. Cars moved like tiny streams of light far below, and somewhere in the distance, sirens echoed faintly through the night. But her focus wasn't on the city. It was on the strange feeling in her chest. Her quirk was restless again. A faint ripple spread outward from her body. The rooftop lights flickered. The security cameras mounted along the walls briefly shut off before restarting again. Izumi slowly lowered her hand. It's getting stronger. She didn't even have to try anymore. Her quirk responded to her emotions. Fear, stress, determination. Every time something threatened her, the suppression field grew larger. More powerful. More unpredictable. And that thought scared her more than any villain. Because if it kept evolving, what would it become? The next morning at UA was unusually tense. Students moved through the halls more quietly than usual. Security patrols had doubled. Even the teachers looked more serious. Everyone knew something had changed. Class 1A gathered in the training field again, but this time the atmosphere felt heavier. Aizawa stood in front of them, arms crossed. We confirmed something after yesterday's attack. Everyone waited. Midoriya's quirk is no longer just erasing quirks. He glanced at Izumi. It's erasing any system connected to quirk energy. Bakugo raised an eyebrow. So basically she shuts down everything. Aizawa nodded. Correct. Todoroki spoke quietly. That includes villain equipment. And possibly hero technology. The realization slowly spread across the class. Izumi wasn't just dangerous to villains. Her power could disrupt the entire hero system. Suddenly Nezu appeared on the training field monitors. His calm voice echoed through the speakers. Unfortunately, we have another update. Everyone looked up. Several villain groups had begun searching for Midoriya. A murmur spread through the students. Nezu continued. Some want to eliminate her. Others want to control her. But they all agree on one thing. The screen behind him displayed several red markers appearing across the city. They believe Izumi Midoriya will determine the future of Quirk society. Izumi stood silently as the information sank in. For years, she believed her quirk only made her different. Then she believed it made her dangerous. But now, it made her important. Too important. She looked down at her hands again. A faint pulse of energy spread across the ground beneath her feet. Todoroki noticed. Midoriya. She looked up. You're not afraid. Izumi thought about the villains. The broken machine. The way her quirk had evolved during the fight. Then she smiled slightly. I am. But if my power really can change the world. Her green eyes sharpened with determination. Then I need to learn how to control it before someone else does. Bakugo smirked. Heh. About time you said something cool, nerd. The class laughed lightly, breaking some of the tension. But Aizawa remained quiet. Because deep down, he knew the real battle hadn't started yet. Far away beneath the city. Inside the underground villain facility. The silver-haired man stood beside the mysterious leader. A massive holographic map of UA glowed in front of them. The leader pointed toward the school. She's evolving faster than expected. The silver-haired villain nodded. Should we proceed? The man's voice was calm. Prepare the next phase. What kind of operation? The man smiled faintly. Extraction. Because the next time they came for Izumi Midoriya, they wouldn't just test her power. They would take it. Back at UA, Izumi stood on the training field as the wind moved gently through her hair. The invisible ripple of her quirk spread outward again. Stronger, wider, more alive than ever before. Somewhere deep inside, she could feel it growing, and she had no idea where it would stop. That's it for part 1. Hope you enjoyed this fanfiction. If this video reaches 30 likes, I'll upload part 2. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.